Hello and welcome to Osa's Lounge. I am Osa Quarry. As you know, this lounge is about exploring yourself, just like I am exploring myself, self-discovery, questioning, discovering who you're meant to truly be in this world, your purpose of existence, your purpose for living. Are you actually just existing or you are living? Are you fulfilling the reason why you are made in God's image and you're placed on this earth? Are you fulfilling that purpose, or are you just wasting your time living to die or dying to live? Whichever one. So if you're enjoying our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your loved ones and friends. Last week, we spoke about self-deception, and I ended up telling you that I was evoking my shadow journey. And today, we're going to speak about the shadow self, to explore or to discover or to uncover what shadow self is or who it is. Do you have a shadow self? Do you believe that, or do you feel that there's a dark side to you? Are you aware of it, firstly? Are you aware of this dark side, of this shadow that holds things that you're not so happy to share? You close out. Do you know that just like you have a shadow when you that goes around with you physically, you also have a shadow self that you are known to, or you try to cover up because it's not so pretty for others to see. You try to mask it up with a smile, with being nice when inside you're thinking of dark things and not so nice things. So today we're going to explore the topic of the shadow self. So going back to last week and the self-deception I decided to embark on, that was the only option. And it was leading me to a very, very huge, tenacious ego, which was blowing up out of proportion. I saw myself as an extra conspicuous image figure in this world, and my role in my job was indispensable. Now, this tenacious ego had invoked my shadow journey. The featured image I had was a woman in a pencil suit, a very beautiful suit, good for investment banking, gave me that ideal extra conspicuous figure. But I was pulling my suitcase, maybe running to catch a business class flight. But unknown to me, because I'm blind, my hard fact pupil, my mind, which was very constricted and closed out, I was enclosed in very narrow walls. This woman walking in her high heels, her stiletto heels, pulling her suitcase in a very beautiful pencil suit, was enclosed in very narrow walls. That was my constricted mind. Living in the shadow is threatening and painful, very threatening. I didn't know I was not getting enough sleep, and I didn't even know that I needed to take care of myself. That's what the shadow does to you when you get to the point where you're not aware of who you're meant to be. You've closed out the true self. You start living in a shadow that is threatening and painful, because as much as you crave for your stature in this world, you are actually closed out, and you are in very, very narrow walls. You are in a prison wall. To protect my ego, I began to build defenses. I began to avoid responsibility for my circumstances. I was protecting myself. I was building defenses, protecting my ego from being hurt, because it was already so big that it could burst at any time, unknown to myself. We build, when we are in this delusional state, we build a protective labyrinth of rationalizations, of excuses and delusions. Eventually, the wall we build to keep our painful reminders out begin to imprison us, begins to keep us in, close us out, just like that image showed. Our world begins to contract, and the walls that protect us or we thought protected us begins to imprison us. It becomes our prison walls. Do you feel enclosed? Do you feel like you're suffocating in this world? That's when we feed our ego, this persona we've created, this self, this outer self, which is just a fictional character. What happens is that protective labyrinth of rationalizations, of excuses, they become our prison walls. Our world contracts, and we begin to realize that, oh wow, I'm heading down a very, very destructive path. And hopefully that destructive path doesn't lead to complete destruction, the annihilation which I couldn't take. I couldn't destroy myself. I chose to deceive myself. Joseph Campbell, from The Hero with a Thousand Faces, is a very, very great book. He wrote, walled in boredom, hard work, or culture, the subject loses the power of significant affirmative action and becomes a victim to be saved. His or her flowering world becomes a wasteland of dry bones, of dry stones, and he or she feels life is meaningless. All he can do is create problems for himself and await the gradual approach of his disintegration. Just imagine that. Walled in boredom, hard worker culture. We do not know. We become a victim to be saved. The power of our affirmative action actually it helps us realize that we are a victim to be saved, but it's too late. Our world becomes a wasteland of dry stones and our life feels meaningless. And all we can do is await the approach of our gradual disintegration, creating problems for ourselves. I was creating problems for myself, not sleeping. All my waking consciousness was dedicated to my new phenomenon in the investment banking world. I felt like I was a shark, swimming with the sharks, living my best life. But unknown to me, I was creating a huge problem where I was going to end up 6 feet under with a real tombstone. My cravings for this extra special significance aroused all my physical senses. And it was administering a prolonged euphoric experience that distorted the true state of my health and overall wellness. My tenacious ego deluded me of the fact that I was actually really sick. My health was not right. I was headed to a dangerous path of losing my mind, getting into insanity, ending up with a mental illness. And I eventually got there. But my extra special significance, my ego that I had constructed and blown up to a very huge bubble, helped me see differently. My hard fact pupil, my little hard fact pupil of the human eye, which was completely blind, saw different. But I was just living in a prolonged euphoric experience, denying me of the true nature of my health and wellness. My overall wellness was really in shambles. It disguised the hurt, the hidden pain, the desperation for love, the damaged self-esteem, and the deep emotional wounds. All of this I wasn't aware of. It disguised my hurt, my pain, the hidden pain I was going through in the toxic world where no one liked me. I just worked hard, 16 to 20-hour days, barely sleeping at night, going home to brush my teeth and shower and go back to work. My desperation to be loved. I had no time for my family. I had no time for my husband. I had no time for my friends. I was just sucked up in a toxic world with people who are competing for power, for fame, for influence, for glory. My damaged self-esteem, I was not aware of it. My self-esteem, I felt, was at the highest point, but it was highly damaged. And lastly, my deep emotional wounds. I was going on a path to depression, to mania, to bipolar. I wasn't aware of it, of my mental illness. I was about to explode or erupt. The shadow self is a place within all of us that dwells in the darkness of the unconscious mind. It is the monster hidden and pursued. It is a monster. It is composed of repressed ideas, instincts, impulses, weaknesses, desires, perversions, and embarrassing fears. I will say that again. Our shadow self is composed of repressed ideas, instincts, impulses, weaknesses, perversions, and embarrassing fears. But we try to hide it. That's why it's our shadow self. We don't want people to discover our hidden ideas that are very, very dark, evil, the dark thoughts we have, the instincts, the impulses to hurt someone sometimes when they offend us, to wish evil on someone, the weaknesses, how we are weak, we want to appear strong all the time, our perversions, our dark, twisted sides that we don't speak about, that we only imagine in our very quiet moments. Our shadow self is also described as a darker side of the psyche. It represents wildness, chaos, and the unknown. That's why they are our embarrassing fears. But being honest with our shadow self and compassionately accepting our shadow elements is the true path to uncovering it and deadening it. And deadening its influence, accepting, being honest that we have our shadow self. We all do. We have dark moments in our lives. We have dark elements. We have shadow elements that we don't want other people to see. They see us as this beautiful person, this beautiful soul. But deep down within, we think of, in our dark moments, we think in our dark times, we think of dark things, things that are embarrassing, things that are perversive, things that are repressive. But with honesty and with compassion, we can accept our shadow elements. And when we do, it frees us up to truly witness the uncharted areas of our mind. Don't you want to discover the uncharted areas of your mind? Do you want to keep it closed out from the whole world, from yourself? The shadow elements, we can accept it. And when we accept it and with compassion, work on it, we can actually transform it and unify ourselves with our beautiful side. And when we do, we become even more golden, brightened, we blossom, we shine, because we have accepted with honesty and compassion our darker elements, our shadow elements, our shadow self. It allows us to see, when we accept it, when we with compassion, it allows us to see that we are not these elements, but those are simply thoughts that possess us, and feelings and drives, but they come and go just like clouds in the sky. They're just thoughts, they're just feelings, they're just drives and desires that come and go like cloud in the sky. Our thoughts are not who we are. Our dark thoughts are not who we are. They're just cloud in the sky that passes, that fades away, that comes and goes. So we don't have to think we are evil because we think of this dirty thing, these not so nice things, this is embarrassing topics, embarrassing repressive thoughts. To accept and embrace your shadow self is to become whole. Once you embrace your shadow self, instead of hiding it, covering it up, suppressing it, we become whole. We taste a glimpse of what authentic holiness feels like. Have you ever had a glimpse of what authentic holiness, authenticity, what authenticity feels like? Are you an authentic person, or are you a person that have multiple sides, multiple images, multiple masks, multiple personas for different situations? Or are you just a person who lives plainly, who lives an honest life, who have embraced the darker element, which do not define you, which are just clouds in the sky that come and go, thoughts, ideas, drives, desires. You don't have to dwell on it. You just let it come and go. You're not possessed by the voice in your head. This involves embracing both the dark and light qualities within us. Recognizing that you possess both the light and dark qualities, but none of them define who you are. Inner unification is not an indulgence of the darker parts of ourselves, of our nature, but rather it is an acceptance and direct experience of them in the light of mindful awareness and deep honesty. I will say that again. Once you unite your darker and lighter elements, the shadow self and the self that you show to everyone, when the inner unification takes place, it is not an indulgence of the darker side of yourself, but rather it is an acceptance and direct experience with them in the light of mindful awareness and deep honesty. So I beg of you today to be mindful, to accept your darker side, to accept your shadow self and treat it with compassion, but be honest about it and allow those thoughts, those dark thoughts to come and go like clouds in the sky, but with acceptance and direct experience with them in the light of mindful awareness. You begin to have a glimpse, to taste what authenticity, authentic holiness feels like. So I wish for you today to let the darker elements go, to not allow it to suppress you, to make you feel like you're an evil person, to embrace it. And once you do embrace your shadow self and treat it with compassion, hug it and say it's okay, you become a better self. Your inner unification, your true being shines forth. You begin to see how bright you can be. The true God in you, the small g God, the creating one, can allow itself to blossom, to shine forth. You become to glow because you've unified your whole self. You're now your whole being. You're not a part of your being. You are complete. You are well. You are wholesome. So that's the shadow self. We must accept it with honesty, with compassion, with bravery. And once we do, we shine forth. We become whole. So I wish for you today, I wish you wholeness. I wish that your whole being is discovered. I wish you connect with your true self. I wish that your authentic self shines all through always. You don't wear masks. You don't wear personas. You don't wear fictional character, but you identify with your true self, the true God in you. So I leave you today with love, with light, and with peace. Find the love in you. It is right there. It is right there. Find it. Discover it. Accept your shadow self. Don't be mean to it. Don't hide it. Don't try to suppress it. Allow those thoughts to come and go. And once you do, your mind frees up. It opens up, and you discover the wholesome self. The light shine through the darkness. But I was stuck in my ego, in my fast growing bubble that was ultimately going to lead me to a very, very destructive place. And we will see next week how I began to slide into the darkness. The fall was inevitable because I was barely sleeping. I was chasing earthly glory, the external beauties that are just chaff, that are just nonsense, the non-entities of this world. So I hope you've enjoyed my content today. If you have, if this is helping you in some way, like it's helping me, do like, subscribe, and share with your friends, your families, your colleagues, so that they can also unpack their lives and discover that they are actually a beautiful soul. They can be whole again. Life is meant to be lived, not to live to die, not to die to live, but to enjoy. I wish you joy as well. I wish you contentment. I wish you tranquility. I wish that the light will shine through the darkness. I wish not for you to fall like I did. The fall was inevitable for me because I was self-deluded. I wish you step out of this reality that is only an illusion. I wish that you find true meaning in your life, not the fake narrative that I was consumed by. Till next time, bye bye.